Well, good morning, boys and girls. It is Monday, the 5th of February, and thankfully we've got a bit of a cool change after a very hot couple of days over 40 degrees Celsius, which is around about the 100 degrees Fahrenheit for my international friends. I think yesterday we got to like 43, and that's like 102. Yeah, so it was bloody hot. Crikey, indeed. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the weather, but I'm here to tell you about what the biggest mistake is that you as a reseller can make. And it is the biggest mistake new resellers make. What is it? SKUing, or should I say, not SKUing. Now, some of you may not understand, if you're a new person to reselling, what SKUing is. And I'm going to tell you. SKUing is adding some form of identification to each of your listings where you store it, so that you can go and find that immediately when it sells. You put that identification somewhere in your listing so that when that item sells, you can go straight to it and find it. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of examples because there's different ways of SKUing and people do it in all different ways. Now, the first thing I'll show you is books. Each to their own how you do them, but you'll see my shelving behind me. And if you just have a look at this shelf over here, you'll see I've got shelves and then I've got rows in the shelves. So what I do is each of my book shelving units has a letter. And I'm not saying that this is the way that you have to do it. I'm just saying this is how I do it. I'm also going to link my SKUing video that I did a while ago at the end of this video. So if you want more information on how I do my book SKUs, that's a good one to watch. Anyway, back to the SKUing system. So for my books, I have each of my bookcases or book shelving units has a letter. So I've got A, B, C, D, E, etc. Then each of those has a row. So I start at the top and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I've got rows on the shelves. So across the shelves, so I think on this one there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how I do my SKU is shelf, so it'll be bookcase A, shelf 1, row 2, and then I can put books at the front and the back on this one, this one. On these bigger shelving units, like the ones I've got over here, I can have front, middle, and back, depending on how big the books are. So it might, I either put a B for back, an M for middle, or an F for front. Now, I'm just going to show you exactly what that looks like. Right, so you can see here, this is a book that I've just sold this morning. And this one is actually going to, let's have a quick pick. It's going to Texas. So how does the SKU work? So in eBay, for example, there is a custom label field that has got in brackets next to its SKU, so it's a good place to put it, that the customers can't see. So the buyer can't see it, only you can see it. So you can put all sorts of information in there. And for myself, I will put this as an older listing, so it doesn't have that information. But normally it would have, say, which you'll see on some of the other ones, it might have where I got it from, what I paid for it, and then the SKU. So here is the SKU up here in this custom label field. And you'll see on this one, for example, this book. So this book is in bookcase B, on shelf 2, in row 4, and it's in the back. So I don't even have to look through the front books to find it. I can just lift the front books off, go straight to the back books and find that book and get it out. So that is one way to do your SKUs. So that's just one example with books. Other ways to do your SKUs, if you're selling smaller items, like perhaps you're doing something like this. This is one of my leather belts that I sell. Well, actually, I picked the one leather belt that isn't leather. It's leather, but still quite a nice belt. So when I do my belts, after I've taken the photographs of them, I put them into a small snap lock bag, and I think these are just a snack size bag, and I write a number on them. So in this case, it's 002. So that's the second one that I did this when I redid my SKUs for these. And you can put these, could go straight into a tub, a box, or in my case, I have a chest of drawers in my back room that really needed some use until I can get someone to get it out of there and give me some more room. But yeah, at the moment it's holding some of my smaller sort of items. And so there is one big drawer that I use that I put all my leather belts in. But I don't have to worry about which belt is which and picking them up and looking at them. Is this the right one? Because I have the numbers on them. So I can identify it straight away. A lot of people choose to put their clothing into snap lock bags, fold them up. So I put things like, this is a small skirt. And you'll see at this point, I just was writing the numbers by hand. So it doesn't have to be anything flash. And they can just be sequential numbers with stuff like clothing. Sequential numbers is probably the best way to go. So you just start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and just keep going. So this is number 267. And this one, you'll see, Now, when I very first started doing jeans, I made a tag and I stuck the tag in the pocket. I wasn't bagging my jeans at that stage, so I stuck the tag in the pocket. So that's the very original one that I did. And now I have graduated too. So then I was writing on them by hand. Now I've just started. I've actually bought some numbered stickers from 1 to 1,000. And so they're a pretty silver sticker. Look, I got them really cheap off Temu because I was buying something else off there. Ideally, I would get a bigger sticker that has a bigger number on it. You could print your own stickers, however you want to do it. Or, as I said, just write on there with Texter. These then go into the boxes sequentially, or whatever storage system you're using sequentially. Then when you sell this pair of jeans, you just have to go straight to it. You pull it out. So if I sell this skirt, I know to go, and I can see the numbers clearly from the front of the box. And you'll see that if you actually go and have a look at my SKUing video, you would be able to see that. One of the other things I have is this clothing rack behind me, and that has most of my tops and things like that on it. So everything like that is on a hanger. So at the start, it was quite easy because I only had stuff that listed on one side, and I pretty much knew whereabouts the things were. And even if I didn't, it didn't take me long to flick through it. But now both sides of that clothing rack are pretty much full. So, it takes time, and you want to try and save as much time as you can when you've sold something and you're picking it ready to pack. So I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I actually just made I printed these out on my computer, and they're just card, and they've got the sequential numbers on them, and it says CRA because that's clothing rack A. I do actually have a second clothing rack in my other room, which will be starting to get used very shortly. And that is why I've got the CRA, because I need to define between the two different racks. So that's just giving you a little idea of the types of SKUs you can do. Why is it important? But you know what? One of the biggest strikes you can get against you, particularly on eBay, is if you have lost an item and you have to cancel a transaction, you have to cancel that order because you can't find it. And it happens to nearly everyone. Everyone that has started reselling will tell you that at some point they've not been able to find something. And even when you SKU, sometimes something might get put out of place, and I do regular sort of stock takes of things to check that everything's fine and everything's where it's supposed to be. And to so after I've sold a lot of jeans, you start getting the odd box that starts feeling a bit empty. So I consolidate them all and stack them all into the earliest boxes and so on. So I get empty boxes at the end to put new jeans in. And when I'm doing that the other day, only last week, I actually found a pair of jeans that was in the wrong box. And I would have been buggered if I couldn't find them. And it is the most uncomfortable feeling when you can't find that item. and you've sold it, and it's too late after you've sold it. You're going to get that strike against you. So, yeah, plus the buyer can leave negative feedback because you cancelled their order. So think about that. So it is very, very serious. It's just such a serious thing. I'm just going to show you a couple of examples now of how the SKU system works. Let me just get myself organised here. Right, so here's a top that I sold that is getting posted today. And this is just, you know, an elegant women's size XXL. I'd say, you know, it's probably about an 18 in women's 18 to 20 perhaps. It's quite a nice thing. I'll just flick through a couple of photos. It's sort of got a knitted look, and it's got these really nice buttons on the front. And just like a short sleeve, bit of a dressier tee. The fabric's quite nice. Doesn't photograph up all that well, I guess. But if we just go up a little bit, you'll see here the SKU shows up. The SKU not only shows up in your order details, which I'll show you in a minute, but it also shows up here. This is new. This hasn't been here for that long. This is a new thing for eBay. So you've got custom label, and you'll see what I was talking about. I've got look first, which is where I bought it from, because I like to track that. Average cost of goods, 33 cents. Now, when it's got that, I know for sure I bought that in a bag sale, because normally their tops are about $4, but I bought a heap of stuff in a bag sale, you know, at different times. So 33 cents. I've got the date that I listed it. And the date you listed it is getting more important to put in this custom label, because if you're doing the end and sell similar at all and you do that, you will lose when you originally started it. So I now put the date in. I actually put it in full now, not just March 23. And then here is the SKU. So this is CRA212. So I know immediately I can go there in 5 seconds. I've pulled it off the rack. And if we go into the actual order details here, you can see it shows up here under your item. So when you're picking, you can actually see it straight away. And if you do the list of your, which I won't show you because you'll see all the people's names on it, but if you've got your order list down, that this still shows up there. So you can have your list and have all the SKUs showing. And as I said, it's not about how you do the SKU, it's about the fact that you do the SKU. Now, I'll give you this one example of where I haven't got a SKU, and that is this Thomas the Tank Engine. These are from 1995. It was a book club that you signed up to. And so this is a 24 set of hardcover books that, yeah, it looks pretty cool. I actually have sold these over the weekend. And I just thought I'd show you how this one works. So it's a really big bundle. And when I took the photos, I lined all the books up really nicely so that the colours flowed through. I don't think they're necessarily they're not a numbered one, but I just thought if I lined them up nicely like that, it looks a lot better in the photos. You'll see some of these have got a little bit of damage here. And so when I do a book, so yeah, when I do a book bundle like this, I will take photos of all the around each side so the person can see it. Then I will give some examples of what the front looks like, what the inside looks like when they were published. So here's just going through another one showing what some of the pictures are like, and then it goes back to there. So, and if you have a look up here, it's look first. These books actually cost me 20 cents each, so the actual cost did work out to be $4.80. They were only originally going to charge me $1, but I gave them extra. I actually think I might have given them $5 for the bundle because I knew I would make a decent amount on it. So I've sold these for $51.97 plus $19.15 post, because they will have to be in an extra large, either most likely a box, because they're going to be quite heavy. So let me just go back. So the reason I haven't got a SKU on those is because I do have a special bookshelf for my book bundles. Well, honestly, you can't miss that bundle. So I didn't bother putting a number in it because it doesn't look like any of the other bundles on the shelf, and it's pretty much taken up one part of the shelf on its own. So that's the only reason I don't do a book bundle. Whether you are using tubs and you're selling shoes, for example, and your shoes, you might be putting them into a tub. You're going to finish up. It's not going to be long before you have more than one tub. As soon as you get 2 tubs, start SKUing, because you do not want to have to spend the time going through both of those tubs to find one pair of shoes. And it's just that simple. The time that it saves you having a SKU, and if you could ask any reseller that SKUs, the time it saves is incredible. And I guess it's something that you perhaps don't realize until you do it. The other thing is, if you are new to reselling, start SKUing straight away. And the reason I'm going to say that is I didn't. At the start, I had a couple of hundred books. I knew pretty much where each of those books was. I was using one bookshelf. Then I progressed to 2. By the time I progressed to 3, I was freaking out. It was taking me 2 hours to pick some days because I didn't know where things were. Even when I first got the clothing rack, I pretty much knew where things were for a long time. And let me just say, the days and days on end that I had to spend doing those SKUs, at the time that I started SKUing, I had over 1,500 books in my eBay store, and I had about 300 pieces of clothing. Absolute friggin' nightmare, I can tell you. So don't make that same mistake, because I did, and yep, I got someone in to help me with the books so they could call. I didn't have to keep going over back and forward. They were calling out to me what the names were of the books, and I was putting it into the computer, and that saved a little bit of time. If I was doing it on my own, it probably would have taken me 2 weeks. And you don't want to take that time out away from listing and photographing and researching and doing all the other stuff you have to do as a reseller. So that is my warning. Do not make this mistake. SKU right from the start. And as I said, doesn't matter how you do it. If you're doing tubs, you might have tub A, B, C, D, like, used to see Hairy Tornado do that on his channel. Different people might have colours on the shells. They might say, this is colour purple, this is colour red, and do it that way. However you do it, but do it. That's all I can say. So thank you for joining me. I don't have to give you some special sales because I already have. And I will see you. Before I do go, I want to give a special shout out to Lynn. Hi, Lynn, from Granny's Precious Gifts. Lynn is such a darling. She is one of my favourite viewers on this channel and watches all my videos. And she previously purchased a lovely blouse from me. And blow me down, she has purchased another garment out of my store. And, wow. It just makes me feel like it's just lovely. And she always puts a special note on her sale. And I'll have to get like Kevin the Commonwealth Picker, won't I? And say that they're false sales, will I? I don't think so. So I really do appreciate that, Lynn. And when you get your parcel, which is possibly today, there might be a little surprise in there for you. Anyway, thank you, boys and girls, for listening. Please listen, and please don't make the same mistake that I did. See you tomorrow.